Okay, so today we're taking a deep dive into something you shared with us, and it's called a New Year Workbook. And it's meant for kids, like as young as 3. So we're going to sort of look at this workbook, this activity book, and see what kind of like foundational stuff it might be introducing, even though it seems pretty simple.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, how much thought can go into these kinds of resources that seem, pretty basic on the surface. But we're going to look at the educational value and see if there is any, right?
Right, yeah. So this workbook, it's got a lot in it. It's got your alphabet, numbers, writing, shapes, some early math concepts, of course, coloring, counting, spelling, matching, tracing, vocabulary. It's got it all.
Sounds pretty comprehensive for a young learner.
Yeah. And it's got a little thing at the top that says free badge, and then it's got these little dots, and it says many more. So, you know, it definitely piques a kid's interest right away.
Oh, yeah, got to have those incentives.
Right. So let's dive in, and maybe let's start with how it tackles early literacy.
Sounds good. Yeah, so right off the bat, there's an activity for vowel practice, specifically the vowel U. And it has the learner, repeatedly trace the uppercase U and the lowercase u. And this is interesting because it's not just, mindless repetition. It's actually helping to build what's called kinesthetic memory, the physical act of tracing. And that's really important when it comes to handwriting and also distinguishing the unique shapes of different letters, especially vowels.
Okay, so the next thing is this New Year alphabet coloring page. And it gives an example, and it says, like, F is for table. And it's got a picture of a table, so that makes sense. But then it's got TT is for. And it just stops. Nothing after the 4.
Yeah. That seems like a bit of a missed opportunity.
Yeah, you'd think so, right?
Well, maybe not. I was thinking that open-endedness could actually be a really cool way to get kids thinking. Instead of just seeing T is for tree, having them come up with their own word.
Oh, I see. Like a little brain teaser, right?
Exactly. It turns it into more of an active learning experience, right? So they're not just recognizing a letter and its sound. They're actually having to search their own vocabulary and recall words that begin with that letter.
That's a really interesting point. So then there's an activity that's for writing practice. And it's got the word balloon.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows it in both uppercase and lowercase, and you're supposed to trace the letters.
Oh, nice. So it's connecting those two forms of the word visually right from the start.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got the big letters, and then you've got the smaller letters.
Yeah.
And there's, like a fun little picture of a balloon next to it, so it kind of gives you that visual, especially with New Year's, balloons.
Yeah, exactly. Balloons are very festive. So it's linking that word to that imagery, which helps with memory as well. And then seeing and actually writing the word in both uppercase and lowercase, that's such a fundamental step in early literacy, right? For both reading and writing.
Right, yeah. So then there's this whole section in here that's all about the months of the year.
The months of the year, okay.
And one of the activities says to arrange the months of the year in order by writing the numbers 1 to 12 next to them.
Oh, so it's a sequencing task, right? Pretty basic, but important.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty basic, but it's also, like you said, a pretty important thing to understand, right?
Absolutely. I mean, understanding the concept of time, how things happen in order. It's a core cognitive skill. It builds logical thinking and all that.
Yeah, I guess so. Then after that, it's got a tracing and coloring activity. And the examples they give are June, October, and December.
Interesting. So not all 12 months are represented.
Yeah, just a few examples.
But I guess it's combining a few different learning modalities here, right? You've got the logical ordering in that first task, and then you've got the visual recognition and the fine motor practice of tracing and coloring. It's all about that multisensory approach with young kids, engaging them on different levels.
That makes a lot of sense. So let's look at some of the math elements. There's a New Year elements counting activity where you count the items and write the number in a box. Can't see the actual items, but like what kind of stuff do you think would engage a young learner in this kind of activity?
Well, I'd imagine it would be like New Year's themed stuff, right? Party hats, noisemakers, maybe even fireworks or confetti, that kind of stuff.
Makes sense, yeah.
Because the idea is to use those familiar objects, those symbols that are connected to the New Year celebration, and it helps make that abstract concept of counting more concrete. It's relatable.
It's fun, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's see. What else? Oh, there's a My Activity checklist.
Oh, right, yeah. That's just like a little chart where a kid can check off what they've done.
So you might think, that's just about tracking progress. But it's actually, a little more than that. It's fostering a sense of accomplishment. It's teaching them to take ownership of their activities, and they can visually see what they've completed. It can be a really great motivator for young learners, especially.
I see. So looking back at this whole New Year workbook, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward, but it's actually introducing some pretty important foundational skills,
Yeah, absolutely.
like early literacy through
Yeah.
letter
Yeah.
recognition, writing. You've got the numeracy with the counting, even that sense of time with the months of the year. And it's all kind of like wrapped up in this fun theme.
And it really just shows you how learning can be, integrated into everyday experiences. Even something as simple as an activity book like this.
Yeah.
It can help lay the groundwork for some really essential cognitive abilities, and it all feels like play to the child.
Makes you think about, your first moments of learning. And what were those activities that sparked your curiosity, that set you on your path of understanding? I mean, those are pretty cool things to think about, right?
Definitely.
Well, thanks for this deep dive. This was great.
My pleasure.
All right.
It was fun.
Yeah.